What have you seen across, obviously, the leisure industry, but what have you seen across the different specialisms you guys have with COVID? What's happening to your customers and how are you servicing it? Now, the reason I'm asking this question is because generally people that are listening to the Insurance Broker podcast might be of a smaller size, because you guys are obviously, I think you're about 40 million GWP, are you?
That's right. Yeah, now we are. Yeah.
Yeah, so they might be of a smaller size with aspirations, and what's really helpful is to hear about sort of the underpinning business aims and thoughts behind. So what are you seeing in your specific specialisms across COVID, and what are you doing about it?
Okay. So there's been a few really good examples. I think if we touch on an obvious one that people always ask us about in this current situation is the funeral directors. It's, oh, funeral directors must be tremendously busy. Well, actually, it's not necessarily the case. There's been a huge impact on the funeral director world that a lot of people don't recognise, because the average cost of funerals has obviously plummeted over the last few months, simply because you haven't had the same amount of people attending funerals. It's been a very different affair to a standard funeral, where a lot of funeral directors wouldn't just make the money from, you know, the coffins and the actual funeral itself. It's from some of the other services that you'd expect to see, from the vehicles and limousines. So we've seen a lot of vehicles being taken off the road, and those kind of challenges, and their income actually dropping down to some extent in some cases. So what we've tried to do, we've been, I think it's fair to say, leading in this space on that, and on other areas such as taxis and couriers, which are other schemes that we have, where we've spoken to our insurers literally on day one and said, look, we need to offer something else to these guys. We need to offer laid up cover for some of the vehicles, and not just taking things off the road or not having things insured. These are expensive specialist vehicles, but it's understanding the challenges that our funeral director clients would face, our taxi clients would face, our chauffeur clients would face. And I think, you know, taxi, whether it's laid up, or we've had a number of different taxi providers coming to us, taxi companies coming to us saying, you know, we're going to do some courier work instead of ferrying people around at this time as well. It's getting in front of that and having a solution in place for them, I think, is really important.
And how do you get that to filter through? So obviously that's the vision. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to offer.
Yeah.
How do you get every stage of your management and your actual client-facing staff to be in that mentality?
Okay. Well, staff-wise, there's obviously a lot of internal engagement on this, and the idea is the great part of this business at SEIB. It's quite a flat structure. We've got those who are on the front line are, as you know, often the decision makers in the business. They speak to these clients on a daily basis. They understand the challenges they face. They know what's coming up. So from a staff perspective, we've had an awful lot of engagement, and the ideas have come from within the business. And from an insurer perspective, we work very, very closely with the insurer partners we have on the schemes. We've got some huge partnerships in place there. And again, you know, generally speaking, no problem, because what they recognise at SEIB, and like most good schemes brokers, is we understand the client, we understand the product better than a lot of the insurers do. So we know the challenges and the niches there, and they're relying on our experience and expertise to make recommendations and changes. And ultimately, then it's about engaging with the clients. And whether that's what we have done is through the COVID situation, we've picked up the phone an awful lot more outbound now to clients. We've spoken to people on a much more regular basis, not just, you know, your standard renewal call, but throughout the cycle, we've engaged with customers much more. And also we've really taken advantage of things like social media, digital marketing. You know, we're involved in a number of groups on things like Facebook, for instance, where people are talking about these kind of challenges. And as soon as we hear about them, we jump on them and we react to that, and we're able to help. Or often we've actually got the solution in play, and we just make sure that everyone's aware of that. So a lot more customer contact in a lot of different ways, which has been challenging, obviously. Hence, I guess we're talking to you guys. But yeah, that's something that I think, you know, we're very, very proud of our marketing department, both print, digital, and events.